live with season 1 of Trekyards, everybody.
Welcome! We got a new episode.
New season. The first season.
Thrusting nipples of Trekyards. That was what's happening.
What a way to lead in. Wow.
Stuart, how sleek is this intro? Or the other words you would call this intro?
It's very rad.
There you go.
Yep.
We're skipping the first pilot for this live.
Yep.
Because it was too intellectual for you guys. You didn't quite get it. So we had to dumb it down a bit, recast us. Because originally we had Stephen Hawking and...
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Nope, Penn and Teller. Because it was about... Yeah. But I mean, one doesn't speak... Yeah. It was a great duo. Trio.
You know, we should do that. I should be...
we should get Penn and Teller. Yeah.
No, I should be the one that speaks, and you should be the one that never speaks. I think that'd be amazing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I like that. It's a good gimmick.
I mean, although you're the small one, so...
Yeah.
You have the silent
shorter.
one. Yeah, the small one. Yeah.
Anyway.
What are you going to say, Stuart?
Today we are ranking season 1 of TOS episodes.
Yes.
You guys get to pick episodes and we get to talk about them and rank them. It should be fun. So...
Yeah, and this evolved from, I think, thoroughly successful ranking of the ships and characters. With every show, had a lot of fun. I'll be honest, doing them. You threw in some amazing curveballs that created some great discussion. I think we've also improved over the many months now. I've had a great debate, had to see what we think, come to consensus, but also compromise, etc. And episodes are a bit more complex with the obvious winners, but the middle values are the ones that we could, debate on. But I thought it was an interesting way to take this.
Indeed. Yeah, so I just want to address a few things. Yes, we will be covering the cage. It's included in season 1, in my opinion.
Sure.
And we're not going to, and Dan's suggesting we can do the originals and the remastered, but we're just doing the remastered because it's just updated with visual effects. So
I mean, remastered will win every time just because just the nature of it's not grainy. Because also take into account the visual picture is nicer, and again, grainy. It's like, not a fair comparison.
Those are our rules.
And
$5 super chats.
Yeah, yes, that's important. There's only so many episodes. Be welcome to put higher, because it does obviously fund the channel, help us do what we do here.
Yes.
And if you do not put the episode in, it might not get talked about at all. And it'd be sad to lose any out, so it will be up to you guys to ensure that we, the episodes come into play.
Yep. Ozzy's like, member for 60 months at the rank of Admiral, says Doomsday Machine is my favorite. Sadly, Doomsday Machine is season 2. And then Ulna Ines says, or member for 60 months at the rank of Admiral, the Mirror Universe is my favorite, and my son next, Doomsday Machine.
Yes.
Mirror is also season 2. So that'll be another live.
Possibly this week and possibly very soon.
Yes.
If this one goes well, right? It's always up to you guys, this sort of stuff. Now, as you guys put in suggestions, what to talk about, etc., a little bit different for me than for you, because you've lived with them for, 20 years more, and the fact that already some people have sort of not necessarily remembered which seasons of which was what. Do you at all remember the average episode of which is in each season, or do they kind of blend together in any way? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's no differentiation in season for me. They all totally blend together. But, I had to kind of refresh my memory as to what was in season 1. I have them pulled up here because, nothing really... I don't differentiate them by seasons because I just watched them all kind of at random growing up, so...
Yeah, and that's the same for me. The fact that it's not a normal show where the quality declines over time or peaks and averages. There's some stinkers in season 1, there's some stinkers in season 3, yet there's some Trek leading favourites in season 3 and in season 1. So it's hard to sort of equate because they do the entire spectrum every season. Yes, maybe the budget goes down by season 3, but then they have more standing sets and props and costumes. The characters know what they're doing better, So it's an interesting one in that regard. Boy, there's some stinkers and some winners in every season.
Yeah, there totally is. And we'll do our best to talk about them and cover them. And if you guys want to be part of the conversation, please do so. Also, if you don't agree with our ranking, you can move them up, so or down. But yeah, it should be fun discussion at least. Kind of, you know, I lost the word I was looking for.
Reviewing, thinking, discussing.
No, to revisit. There we go. To revisit these season 1 episodes and kind of have a discussion. I can't wait to finally review these as well. By the way.
Yeah, me too.
Because you even said it earlier that you've seen them all.
Yeah.
But some of you've seen more, and other ones you've seen once and don't really necessarily remember all the. So it'd be fun to go through those with you and review them fully.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've only maybe seen 5 or 6 properly as the post. I've got into filmmaking and I know the layers, and therefore you appreciate some of the small stuff that you're not meant to appreciate when you're young, whatever. But it's definitely an interesting show whereby, I mean, for everybody in this audience, it's been around your entire lives. But, like, super been around. Not just like, oh, yeah, Lost was around when some people are now 18. It's like, yes, but in every part of the world, you know what I mean? This is a very old show and a very old social zeitgeist. So, therefore, I assume there'll be quite a lot of variant in review scores and placements for a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things have personal whatever, especially for the older in the audience, or those that watch on VHS that only had, a couple. We had all the VHSs in the house, but the family only put on certain ones, or their preference of the good ones are the good ones, right? I think we know which ones are the really good ones, but like the preference to watch ones is often that. Anyway, I'll get posting, sharing online. You guys put in some suggestions, throw some in. We want to talk about it straight away. So doing a couple, I think it's $5 or pounds minimum. Love to hear our goal. Thanks so much, Matt.
Indeed. So we'll get to yours in a second, Ray. But thank you guys for watching. First of all, we appreciate all you guys tuning in and turning up for these lives. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell icon to all so you don't miss any content from us. And come join us again for more of these lives. We're going to be breaking down every season of Star Trek now and talking about the episodes and ranking them. So it's quite a number of lives that we have lined up for you guys. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and notified. Also, there's a join button down there on YouTube. Click that. You can join us on a monthly basis to kind of help us out. We appreciate that immensely. Anything you guys do, even just hitting that like button, which is really important. Just hit the like button. Share the videos around. Tell Trekyards. Tell your friends all about Trekyards. Anything, anybody that's interested in Star Trek might be interested in seeing our content. So if they're not aware of us, let them know. Do all the things that you need to do. You can also head on over to Patreon/Trekyards to support us on a monthly basis as well. Or you can just click the links down below. There are links to Teespring and TeePublic, and TeePublic has a lot of fantastic stuff, so I'd suggest checking those guys out for sure. Just use the link down below and throw some stuff in your cart, whether it be Trekyards related or not. It all helps out immensely. So, yeah, that's the routine. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys pick. There are obviously a certain number of episodes per season, so that's why we kind of are relying on the $5 super chat per suggestion this time. I don't think that's unfair to ask. Do we get to cover them all? I don't know. Probably not, but we definitely want to do the best we can. So, and I am looking forward, of course, to reviewing these eventually, like I said, with Sam. And we're on season 5 or 6 of TNG right now. We still need to finish out those reviews of TNG, but we'll eventually get around to TOS and reviewing these in more depth. So
I'm back.
He's back.
Howdy.
Howdy. All right.
What do the fine people? Gosh, and in what order? Because I can imagine people might throw some really less good ones at us.
Going through season 1, I mean, there's not very many less good. They're all pretty good. It's not like season 3 where there's the odd stinker here and there, but season 1's a strong season of Star Trek for sure.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get into it. Ray Ricks, who's awesome.
Yes.
£5. Errand of Mercy, Kapla. Ah, yes.
And in this selection I have, it doesn't say the name of the episode, so to avoid me having to Google which one...
I can tell you.
Okay.
Errand of Mercy is season 1, episode 26.
Yep, so if you can just put in the episode number as well, that would be excellent. Save me those extra few steps having to Google everything as we go. Errand of Mercy! Klingons. Stuart Klingons.
Klingons and the Organians, yes. This was absolutely great to get this introduction to the Klingons, where the Federation's going in thinking that they're going to win the day and save these people from the Klingons, and the awful conditions that the Klingons would put these people in, not realizing that the Organians are in fact super, super advanced and actually very powerful. And of course we get... is it Kang or is this Koloth? Can't remember. Great Klingon, and he returns, of course, in DS9, and he plays a pivotal role in quite a few episodes of DS9. But yes,
neither. And Core.
Core. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Kang is Day of the Dove. Anyway. So yes, what was I saying? Oh yes, great diplomacy between Captain Kirk and this guy. Get some real back and forth with the Klingon Empire. Also have the threat of the Enterprise in orbit being attacked, of course, which never really comes to fruition. And it's just great to have the Organians step in and go, no, you guys, you're pushing your weight around a little bit. You're going to have peace, or there's going to be problems. I love that the twist at the end, that the Organians, that's why they were so calm and chill the entire time when Kirk's freaking out going, do you understand what these Klingons are going to do if they get control of your planet? So yeah, the twist was great. And the Organian peace treaty, I mean, that lasted a long time. The Organians eventually kind of went away, and then I believe come back. And was it STO that had that? They come back in some form.
STO has everything.
Yeah. So this was a fun one. And again, learning more about the Klingons. I love that the same actor carries on to DS9, and it's a good episode. You get to see Spock blow up some crates. Cardboard crates, but that's fine. There's a lot of jankiness going on, but it's all good.
Yep, I can't remember how far into the Klingon plot this is. I assume it's the second or third appearance. As in, because it'd be a hell of a first appearance. We'll have to go check that. But it makes sense for us all second appearance to kind of up the ante a bit. But I remember from the marketing, the look of the council elders is so iconic with just those shots of them, because the twist is such an effective thing. This is where the old style sci-fi storytelling people thought in slightly hoitier terms, and you definitely second watch it, and that the clues are there, the tone is there, but also makes sense from primitives who don't know what they're doing. It flows very well. I remember being in a sense underwhelmed by the ending, because oh okay, but then it's but in a good way. It's oh okay, it's like god beings who is not that important, but the children. So it actually works really, really well. And phenomenal performance by the guest actor. Obviously, he was known from Battlestar Galactica. I think it was later, obviously, but really effective in this role. But also not quite the Klingons we know. So he's a bit more that calculating, merciless, kind of fun to see. And I always liked the sets. They were kind of for basic, simple, not impressive. They always had a good vibe to me. This episode, it was an effective, and Spock's slightly silly but so fitting outfit.
Just a merchant. Yeah.
Just the blues and the red, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely one of the better ones of season 1, I think. And establishing that relationship between the Klingons and the Federation. I believe this was the first introduction of the Klingons. I think they might have been mentioned prior, but looking at the other episodes, I think this might have been the actual first.
Well, that's a very strong introduction.
Yeah. And also pushing the whole, if this fighting over this planet could cause a galactic war between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. So it was a pretty substantial thing. So,
and the fact that it does have ramifications, not necessarily in TOS, but in the grander thing. So it all depends on scoring, right? There are heights of heights, and there are very strong, and there are good. My gut would say put this at this is the TOS Season 1 scale, right? This isn't Trek.
Yeah.
My gut would say low A, because I think there is room to improve. I think it's a little bit... I skimmed, obviously, several times through this. It's not visually super impressive. It's not visually super ambitious. But I remember the script is good, the acting's good, but it doesn't have some of the visual scope that other things do. So it's kind of like... It's a different layer for me, but there are ones that like do everything. This doesn't quite do everything, but does a lot of things. That'd be my initial gut reaction.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think A is a good call-out for this one, because there are better ones in Season 1, for sure.
Because I remember the script. The script is good, and the way they take their time, and yeah.
Yeah, the interplay between Core and Kirk is really well done.
Yeah.
Well handled, because he's sussing out whether he's a Federation captain, and Barona is Kirk's name. And I love the way that the Klingon says Barona. So yeah.
Nice.
All right. Good call. Next up, we got Mark Lawrence. Hey, Mark, $5. Tranya time. The Corbomite Maneuver. Don't play poker against that man. Yes, the Corbomite Maneuver. I always thought growing up that this was like right after Where No Man Has Gone Before, like the next one. I think stardate wise it might be. It's of course not release order wise. But no, this was, you run into the First Federation, you got a huge, massive starship that just dwarfs the Enterprise. And Balak, you get to snoop into their ship to see what they look like, and you got Balak there. And he's quite imposing, and it's like, ooh, this is one of the first, enemy Star Trek aliens we've run across.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in the credits of all the seasons of Star Trek as well, so pretty important. But then to find out it's just the little ship breaks off, and you got this little guy in there who likes Tranya. You're not sure what's going on with the Viserys, if it's like a ship full of people, or if it's just literally part of his ship and he's the only guy there. Kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, but you got good visuals. You got that cube that stops them, the Federation, or the First Federation, basically security border thing. So there's a lot of really good visuals in this, and yeah, Clint Howard as the alien, introduction of Tranya. There's lots of memorable things from this episode that have carried on for sure. And I wish we would have learned more about the First Federation in canon, because it's quite an interesting concept.
I mean, ignored might be an understatement.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because they've got a tech where we're meant to be, we're pretty advanced, and they absolutely blow us out. Not attack wise, but like, oh my god, which implies all the other things, right? No, just so where are they then the rest of the time? Are they hanging out? Alpha Centauri's orbit in a third dimension while in temporal cloaks. Okay, I don't know. Although, of course, the irony is, and this is what Trek shorts tends to do, my fan film thing, knowing the scale of these things allows you to say, well, actually, how big would this be if they came back in TNG and you saw it compared to like a Borg cube, right? The context of when it is why it's so scaly. But like maybe the Enterprise F, right? The insanely big Enterprise F. Now something shifting even just our tech a bit forward. Yeah. I like those little things of playing with it.
Yeah, and I love Kirk's play of the Corbomite material that's incorporated in every Federation starship that would basically destroy good section of space should the ship be destroyed as his bluff. So, and even it's incorporated in the Armada. Star Trek Armada games. There's a Corbomite device. So, and I believe the Sovereign class has that. Which is like a shield that bounces whatever they fire back at. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, it's used again. It's interesting. never been that information has never been put into any Federation database or computer, so of course you're not going to find it if you look through our systems.
Look, obviously scrolling because there's a lot of dense things. This is a Uhura in gold for some reason.
That's because it's right after where No Man has gone before, filming wise.
I know. The giant collars that do look a little bit sillier, so it does pull you out a little bit. Everyone's got just like, and the light on the bridge is definitely not refined yet, so it looks worse, but that's okay, right? They're allowed to. Although it's amazing how many things look the same considering it's that new. But I'm scrolling, and obviously Viserys is a zeitgeist of a visual. It's always been everywhere. Super easy to visually modernize. So I'm sure fans did it for magazines for decades, and then they're remastered, etc. Really classic visual, while still being very 60s. It's just a simple structure, and of course the end alien. But I'm scrolling, and nothing around that I remember at all. Right? None of the B plots, C plots, or D plots. I can't tell you anything happens in it except the A plot. And there probably is some other plots happening, character-wise. There's Cook that showed off at the start. Physical, I don't know, right? But nothing else is standing out to me, which is not a good sign, because a lot of episodes do have a lot of stuff that stand out. And this has the A plot, which is the visuals, which is stuff that's left forward. So maybe it says this is more of a show, a show piece, not necessarily an impressive piece, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think? How does that vibe with you, with it more being the visuals over the actual content?
Well, no, there's more going on, because it's the guy they take over to the Viserys that they end up leaving there. Kirk's like, I think I owe it to you that you stay here and be a representative for the Federation. You go with this guy to the First Federation and learn about them. Because he was kind of unsure about his place on the ship, if I recall correctly. So yeah, there is more going on here, but it's funny because this was the second one filmed right after Where No Man Has Gone Before. So that's why Uhura is still in gold. And chronologically, it gets shuffled. So it's like, what, 6th
episode 10, like which is crazy.
So, it's actually kind of impressive how quickly they found their feet as far as the visuals. Like 3 episodes, they kind of got it. But then when they stagger the release order, it kind of interesting. So, and
this is I guess sort of a complaint, but obviously I'm scrolling, and at the end of the beam on the Viserys, there's a TOS engineering panel behind.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been established as a regular.
I get it, but that's a kind of mistake by itself. Yeah. And the set is kind of pathetic to what the Viserys is, and there's nothing about the art design that matches, and I wish they had, because it's like they didn't know what the ship looked like yet, I'm guessing, when they filmed it, because that's months apart. But that's definitely like, the set's tiny and made of fabric, the outside is giant and made of balls, and it doesn't link at all. So that's definitely a mismatch that doesn't pull in its favour.
Yeah. But still, no. Meeting the unknown, having the deception of what they look like with Balak, with the dummy and stuff like that was quite interesting.
Twist's great.
It was supposed to be quite menacing at the time.
As it was.
So.
And even Belloq's voice is menacing, and his laugh is horrible.
Yes, it is.
So my gut says mid-C, because I think there's, again, better and worse. I think it falls out that it's less memorable, but the cool stuff brings it up. What do you think?
I'd say probably a high C.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd say it's a good midway point for season 1.
And let's be honest, there's a high standard in Star Trek in general. So this is not a complaint. This is just there are better and there are worse.
Yeah.
Are there any Fs? I don't even know the answer to that question. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. Beautiful.
It was high stakes too, because the threat of the Enterprise getting destroyed.
Yeah.
The
first but not last giant starship.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Mark Lawrence, member for 23 months at the Rick of Admiral. Put in those favorite episodes. Yes, Mark. Encourage the people.
Yes.
And Ray Ricks, member for 35 months, or 35 months, sorry, at the rank of Federation Council.
Amazing.
Or put in the worst episodes. Which, I mean, there aren't really bad episodes in season 1. But...
we might find them. I'm interested.
And Mark Lawrence chimes in again with, yes, put in those favorite episodes, even if they are just a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I want to see all, I guess, 29 based on this record, which is kind of insane. Yeah.
Libby Julius, $5 before season 1, The Cage, and the
Mm-hmm.
episode that deals with the cage. Well, we'll do the
Mm-hmm.
cage because that's included in season 1. If you want to talk about the Menagerie parts 1 or 2, you have to call those out specifically. So,
And it's almost a cheat as well because it's a feature-length episode versus normally a 40-minute. Just saying, because it's a longer episode. Is it a longer episode? Is that a two-parter? No, Menagerie's two-parter.
Menagerie is a
That's what I'm
two-parter,
thinking
yeah.
All right. How does Cage vibe in this? Because now we're judging it to TOS, right? So there is a very different standard applied to each and both.
Well, different captain vibe for sure. Different visuals on the ship, especially the bridge and the goosenecks and all that kind of stuff. But yes, the idea that humans can be put into a zoo of sorts to be studied by these massively intelligent telepathic creatures and be tested and have their senses tricked and fooled. And it was an interesting concept. And yeah, I understand why the executives at the time were like, this is too cerebral. We wanted to punch him up, action, shoot him up.
It's a pretty substantial punch up in the middle.
I know, but this was the vibe at the time because of all the shows that were on TV, which were mainly westerns back then. But no, I think it was interesting seeing Jeffrey Hunter. We get Spock yelling, close the circuit, that kind of shit. And Leonard Nimoy played it so that whatever the leading man was doing, he would do the opposite. So since Jeff Hunter was very, stoic and like kind of serious, so that's why Spock was smiling more and stuff in this. Plus, they hadn't really established what Vulcans were really like at the time. So there's a couple reasons for some of the mismatchy stuff. Love that Vina was actually like basically disfigured the entire time, but they gave her that visage of like being back to normal and perfect.
It's damn sad.
It is. I disagree with Doug Drexler. This is better in color than it is in black and white. I've seen both. It works in either one. But
yeah, I have no strong feelings, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Huh.
Yeah. Introduction of the Orion slave girl. Definitely set up some Star Trek tropes that continued on. So,
in fact, before I even put my thoughts in, what would you give it? I want to instantly hear without my bounce back because it's such a unique one. Where would you place it now to kind of set a useful bar in this?
I kind of agree that it's a little bit too cerebral, but I still think it should probably be at least an A, possibly a low A, maybe even a B, but because I would rather watch, Errand of Mercy over this, which is I enjoy it all. Like I'll watch it all, so don't get. It's not saying it's bad by any stretch. But yeah, it's kind of where I'm vibing right now. So,
just gonna do a brief poll.
Yes.
And there's the poll. Excuse me, that's a yes or no. Yeah. So Cage is amazingly unique in all of fiction, all of TV. It's well acted. The characters aren't particularly well defined. That's not its strength. Jeffrey Hunter is just upset captain who drinks a bit. Everyone's more an archetype, right? Versus TOS, you feel more for everyone. You feel more for them, but that shows they're just better fit. Aliens are great. Vena's great. The setup's great. Costumes are fine. They're more pajama-y. Materials less good. The sets are good with some really kind of fun other little things going on. There's actually some fun things which kind of kept over. Like the brief room's kind of cool with the beams, etc.
Yeah.
It's slower than it needs to be in the middle, and it focuses too much on visuals that don't have the punch they think they do. And that's not a problem. It's just, when he's going through his different things, they could be more interesting. If you had all the other canon, you could have him at the academy and go to. If you're really going ridiculous, you could have him go to the botanical garden and blah, blah, blah. You could be really fancy with it, but whatever. But I think the twist with the laser cannon hitting the thing and it not being destroyed, I think still really well at the end of being blown up, and everyone's sad because you've just destroyed their home basically. The end is really, really solid. It just gets a little bit muddled to get there, but given it was breaking all the new ground and it's really high budget and it's a lot of things, So it's less well structured than a lot of stuff. Hella memorable, but that's because it's unique as well.
I would dare to say it's more modernly structured than a lot of stuff. Like for its time,
okay.
it was ahead of the curve. It didn't focus on the action and all that stuff. Now, a lot of shows are kind of written like this, with the more dramatic vibe to them, and like being slower in the middle sometimes.
More of a surrealistness, more creative. Yeah. That's true. I mean, it's true. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, it didn't have quite the punchiness of TOS. I don't mean literally punchy. I just mean like pacing wise, episodes are a little bit more fast than this.
Well, it's missing the strong characters and the humor, and those two things are really core to TOS especially. And it's got everything else pretty much there. Just you need that top, which is why Trifecta works so well, right?
Yeah.
See, I was in the BC train because compare it to Corbomite, they do like Corbomite does a lot of things better, does many things worse, right? That's kind of my. They're different, right? So I'm B or C. I think there's a lot of things that are better. I think if you start putting B's and B's, this might go down to a C. Again, contrast because just because it was the first doesn't equate to a B. Before that, because like I said, the reasons, but it's still a pretty darn strong episode, just not super darn strong. So I'll let you put final vote in. That's my overall thoughts.
Well, I had already said either a high B or a like a low A.
For a B then, see where you end up.
I will put it in B and we'll see how it stands up.
Very nice.
Compared to the others.
But thanks, Livia. That was a good one to throw in. Yeah, very nice. I'm voting the poll, guys.
Yes, the poll is: does TOS hold up? Yes or no?
Of course, you're slightly biased as our wonderful audience, but still, let us know.
Guardian Sage, $5 Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Sorry.
And I rewatched this right after I watched the Stranger Worlds episode. Which I never just... So I was like... I just did it because I did it earlier. You weren't up yet. Like, you hadn't finished your thing. So I watched that, then this. See, wait, does that line up at all? And I'm like... Oh. Anyway, continue.
Well, I love that it's initially an attack by the Gorn on a Federation outpost. But there's subterfuge going on.
Subterfuge.
They're talking to the Captain Hernandez or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they beam down. They're getting basically mortar attacked by the Gorn, who actually blow up a tricorder as part of that. And then chase is on. We got to go get this ship because they attacked the Federation outpost. We find out that the Gorn are in fact thinking that the Federation's encroaching on their space, so that's why they attacked. And it raises some questions like, are we in the wrong? Are we the bad people in this? Specifically McCoy. Then, of course, both ships get stopped. Captain Kirk and the Gorn captain are whisked away to this planet, and the crew gets to watch. Spock had never seen a Gorn before, even though fighting one.
No one had. It's totally unknown, yeah. Or heard the name.
Nope, not. Then you got typical kind of, man versus man, using the elements to their advantage type vibe going on. Kirk makes some black powder cannon, which wouldn't actually work, but that's fine.
And Deverous is again a godlike race stepping in. Yeah, there's a lot of those. Yeah, but they are just advanced life forms, right? They aren't?
Yeah, the Metrons. It's funny because one of my first jobs, my manager, his name was Dave Metron. His last name was Metron. It's like...
Wow. Is it Captain Scarlet, the Metrons?
I don't know.
Also villains with Metron. All right. So how do you think it stacks up, though, is the question.
Fairly well. I mean, it's mono a mono, essentially. Mono a lizard, I guess. And it shows the ideals of the Federation, specifically at the end, where Kirk's like, no, I'm not going to kill him. Even if it's... You're telling me I have to kill him for me to win? No, I'm not going to. And of course, that wins over the Metron, saying, yes, you're more advanced than we thought, just with having that kind of mentality. So it's definitely Gene Roddenberry's vision, right?
Thank you, Benjamin.
action-packed. It's got the nice twist at the end with the superior being that had brought them there. You sense the hopelessness of the crew on the Enterprise. The opening is great. I think the attack on the Federation outpost was fantastic and really interesting to see. And yeah, the morality of the Federation winning over, like, we're good. We're evolving. It's good. It's a good episode. Plus, it introduces a alien race, a species, the Gorn, which of course has popped up many times. So, how does it stack up? Writing's good, I think, especially for an action-based episode. But yeah. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a. We talk about the cage for no action. This is a solid action movie because you this sort of review scale you've got to take at the time into account because we compare it to itself. What could they do? So it's a really ambitious on location shoot, which looks great. It's well shot. The visuals are nice. It's an iconic location. It's a lot of time on location. Looks nice. It feels very different than to the on-set stuff. And like I say, the start is actually quite impressive for the time. It's silly, but when you say it, it's a mortar strike on it. Like the words to set it up are silly in the Trek world. I think had they done it again today, even with TNG in play, they would have done something more sci-fi. But also civilian, it's fine. And it's a cool blown up set they have. I mean, it's shockingly big. I'm sure I guess they found somewhere real to shoot that was like this because this is a full. They didn't build this entire setup for. I don't know. It's a big old thing they did. Don't know. It looks great. It's just a bit silly. Shatner's great in it. He sells it. I'd love to have known. They say nowadays, oh, it's a guy in a rubber suit. Did you think that then though, when that was the height of prosthetic ability? Because he looks great, if daft. But, great. It's still... And considering how crappy that was working that. What a consummate professional. And it does work well to have it be so sidestep. Main action is Kirk and Gorn. Really focused on... But you never feel like the side crew are out of it. Because they're able to watch and comment, they have a constant presence. So it's well balanced. Even though it's very much like Kirk is having fun. It works very well. And the message at the end is what saves it from being every other TV show at the time. You get the cake of having a big ass battle. You get the cake of having it be an alien that's cool and different. And then you get to eat it by having it all be a positive message without anyone actually getting hurt. And yay. So it's a full spectrum of thing. So as silly as it is, it's exactly what Star Trek is. Happens to have a good action skin. So I would say this is a high B, possibly ticking into A for its cleverness of what it's trying to do.
I was going to say A for this one.
Because it is silly.
Kind of the epitome of what Star Trek TOS is. A lot of non-Star Trek fans would recognize the Gorn and go, yeah, it's Star Trek. It's janky, but it's Star Trek, right? And
also the cleverness of, I'm skimming again, the fact that Kirk is not quite there enough to realize that his comm is not a captain's log device
translator,
and he's telling the Gorn the whole thing. It's such a lovely way of having everybody in the story at the same time. The crew in there know because they can hear him. The Gorn knows. It's clever. It's a clever way of it's a just really nice little idea. I think A is fair. It's silly, but at the time it wasn't as silly. It was a serious. This is the best they could possibly do, and it's really ambitious. And well done them.
And Vasquez rocks, man. Come on.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yes, Corky, the non-xenomorph.
Guardian Sage throws in $5. Balance of Terror. Ah, yes.
Mm-hmm. Quite a famous one, that one.
Yep. Definitely one of my favorites. Again, this is bringing submarine warfare style battles to Star Trek, which makes sense in the context of what Starfleet is, I think. Plus, you see both sides of the confrontation. You understand both of their, mindsets. He doesn't want to necessarily get into a war with the Federation, but he's got to obey his praetor. And you get Kirk, not, of course, wanting to start a war, but can't, he's got to do his job. And the ending with the whole, in another time, I could consider you a friend because they've earned a mutual respect for each other, is great. Plus, introduction of the Romulans. Romulan Bird of Prey is a great design. There is some janky shit in this episode with phaser control, how they got a burn out of one of the coolants, and it kind of has a technical aspect of Star Trek that you hadn't seen it to this point, because everything just worked because it was the future. Here you got the elements of, okay, things can go wrong, and it's definitely followed up in like Star Trek 2. It's got that more military kind of vibe where shit can go wrong, and there's mechanical things going on down in the lower decks, right? So, plus cloaking device technology. Yeah, there's a lot to like in this one, absolutely. And then the prejudiced spin on the storyline with they look exactly like Vulcans, and they get some bridge crew members that think that Spock might be an infiltrator or a spy for them, because we hadn't seen the Vulcans, anybody, to this point, even in the Earth-Romulan War. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's multi-layered for sure.
Yeah, the fact that the future people of the Trek world really grabbed this episode and ran with it to develop Romulans, a Romulan War, all these things show how much it continued. And of course, this episode, Mark Leonard as Sarek, as Romulan Commander, he obviously, impressed them enough to say, hey, no one's going to notice that you played the main villain in an episode a few things ago. Just come back. It's like, what?
With the exact same makeup.
And it's a similar.
That's the other thing.
It's not exactly dissimilar performance. There is certainly, right.
Yeah.
He's a bit more of a stern Vulcan. They are silly costumes, but they're so good costumes. They're stylistic and clever. The set's damn small. Yeah, I mean it's the writing, right? This is a Shakespearean episode, and also they're Wrath of Khan. 2 ships, 2 commanders, 2 perspectives.
Yeah. But
cycle revenge for duty and politics. They have a really great cast of the 3 main Romulans, all do their job really, really well. The racism kind of hard to see, but speciesism more. But it's not just abstract. It's, my dad or granddad died in the worst war ever, and as we learn later, it's horrendous. It's the worst war ever. So you're allowed to feel bad. You're allowed to not like a Nazi, right? It's of a similar position. You're allowed to, right? It's a shock. Give the guy an extra week, and he probably would be less angry. He could come to terms with it, etc. Yeah, but it's the writing. It's the writing and performances. The sadness of the end is very, very sad. Yes, there's some slightly slanted. Does the show have warp? No. Sublight, how did it get there? Why is it doing this? The way all that stuff is a bit skewed now in modern Trek. We have to kind of justify its existence. Blah blah. But relatively small things in the grand scheme. And a very good bottle episode, because often all you need is a bridge, another bridge, and some good acting. Yeah, but like I say, the script that really makes this one work, and everyone elevates the script as well, which is nice.
Yeah, and I like the Romulan commander's kind of tortured vibe of he's doing his duty, but he really just wants to go home and spend time with his family.
Yeah,
he's hoping this is the last mission, and then of course he doesn't make it out. So.
Yeah, although hell of a mission. Be a first strike test weapon on innocent colonies, and then limp home. It's like, what? And you can just imagine a big ship just watching them from afar, like, nah, they've got it. Are we sure we shouldn't interact? Nah, they're fine. Captain, they've been destroyed. Nah, it's fine. It's like, right, yeah. Well, that was a test ship. Great, cool, thanks. Obviously, there's an S, right? Just the writing is special. And this could have been a movie, right? The idea of the submarine. Although I did kind of see it in Stranger Worlds. Actually, because it was almost a movie.
Yeah. As Devo points out, it was inspired by a movie, The Enemy Below.
Well, yeah. Kind of thing. It's hyper grounded, right? It's hyper grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's obviously. I mean, currently the best of the season, and that'd be hard. Currently, that's I think indisputable, but maybe they'll dispute that.
Yes. All right.
Great options,
27 votes on the poll, which is great. We need a few more, though. It would be awesome. 33 of you here and 35 likes. So hit that like button. Let's try to get to 50 likes and just as many votes if you can.
Yeah.
All right. Ray Ricks, 5 pounds. Mud's Woman. Yeah, it's bad. Um, it is bad for multiple reasons. I mean, you got him basically dealing in human trafficking. Uh, you got the Venus drug, which is actually, well, turns out later they use a placebo, which has the same effect. It makes them feel beautiful. Um, introduction to Harry Mudd, who does return, and it's quite a fun character. He's very 1960s though television character, and that's fine because this was in the 60s, don't you know?
But that means he feels like a special character now because he stands out as being so different. Because you wouldn't be able to do this now, not because he's creepy or weird. Just it's so specifically interesting. So he has a unique character compared to modern TV.
Yes. Yeah, and him basically running from them essentially at the beginning and being a pirate, or yeah, this was I wouldn't say bad episode. It's one of the lower end of this season for sure, but it had kind of more of a fun vibe until it turned a little sinister with him wanting to take over the ship and having the one girl kind of seduce Captain Kirk, or try to. And then, yeah, the deal was made for the dilithium miners to have some wives. So it's actually not a great idea for a story, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't remember much else about this one. It's just a lot of, yeah.
See, when I think this episode, I think Vaseline on the lens for the women shots.
Oh God, yes.
This one especially, and a great performance by the Mudd actor. Like he steals this show in what he's doing, and the fact that everyone's nicely color-coded costumes, that looks quite good. But I'm scrolling, really good use of they look gross makeup, like effective, well done.
Yeah.
The miners we get to see civilian work, which is pretty unusual in Star Trek by itself. So that's interesting. What our average Joe's doing, human trafficking, yeah, but you got Orions in the first episode. And the galaxy is more wide, and it's but I can't say I remember the last half.
Well, the underlying thing is the Enterprise is on its last dilithium crystal, and they need dilithium, and Mudd's using that as a leveraging tool. But it all ends up working out because they trade women for fuel.
Great, good. Well, I'm scrolling, and like I said, the last half I barely remember, and it's annoying me the fact they're living in caves. It's just a cave set with lights on the wall. Look, they're inside a cave. Really, this is a colony? It's like, okay.
Well, they're miners.
Well, wait, little people? What? Children?
Yeah, they all look like they're over 18, though. Yeah.
That was my Gat's question. So yeah, I remember the first 18 minutes of this episode, which I guess speaks to its whatever. But it's an interesting episode and a dark episode, and it's trying to be both, right?
Yes.
But on the scale of TOS, it's certainly below Corbomite.
Yes.
And that's the metric, right?
Yes, but is it F quality?
I don't think so. I don't have any gut reaction like to it, because the performances are good.
Okay, we'll put it D for now. Yeah. Like you said, there's the middle bit's a little bit and yeah, I don't remember all the specifics of it either.
No.
Just that they are running low on dilithium. The ship is going to be out of power soon. It was a whole time thing.
Bad day. Bad day.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right.
Just shows the inefficiencies of Starfleet and the Federation, because they send ships out there with no.
And Captain Corky says, "Forgive me if I'm the only one, but I think they could have got some much prettier women to play Mudd's lovely ladies." I mean, they were probably pretty to the casting directors. That's the only metric, right? Define
One of them was really pretty.
Yeah, define beauty. It's like I don't find short-haired women attractive, so if you throw that at me, then there's lots of. It's all for you personally, but I'm sure, like I said, the people who cast it thought they were the best. It's like that sort of infamous joke with the new Cinderella. They cast Gal Gadot as the ugly witch and the other lady, and it's like she's not the fairest. The Gal Gadot's more attractive, so it's weird to have them reversed. But
Yeah.
Weird choice from Ugly Witch is great. But it's perspective, right?
Aussie $5. Galileo, where Spock is in command of the shuttle. Yes, Galileo 7.
Now, is this a guilty pleasure episode? I kind of love this episode.
I'm not the biggest fan of this episode. I don't like all the interpersonal conflicts that goes on the planet because I think it's ridiculous and stupid. Because Spock is doing the most logical and correct thing as a commander. But you got all these emotions flying around. And it's like, just chill, everybody. He's doing what he needs to do.
But there's giant...
But let's go back and get the body and give him a proper... Okay, go risk your... Really? He can come back later and beam up the body. Like, there's a lot of ridiculous writing in this that annoys the shit out of me.
Olaf is his best friend who went to his wedding, and he's the godfather, and...
I don't care.
Well, that's because you're a heartless bastard.
Yes, yes I am. Mission comes first. Do what you got to do. Get the fuck out of there, and then figure it out later. Also, the commissioner or the whatever is that's on the Enterprise, and there's a time limit as well. We got to get this stuff to this planet. You only have so much time to search. There's some definitely high stakes drama in this one. Even that last ditch effort of just ejecting all the fuel and burning it to create like a flare. It's like, the gamble, good gamble. Don't think it worked. Good gamble. And also the Enterprise shows up. And of course, main introduction of the shuttle, the Type F. So the aliens, the giant aliens with the spears are kind of stupid. A lot of the effects for this one, like the spears being thrown and stuff, that seem very janky and they bounce. And there's, I don't know, it's just, this one annoys me a little bit. I appreciate the stuff on the Enterprise with the guy being like, Kirk, these are your orders, we gotta go. And Kirk's like, no, I gotta save my friends.
The non-Galileo part of Galileo 7.
Yes, exactly. Keep searching as long as you can. But yeah, I think a lot of the planet side stuff really annoys me. And just the intolerance of them with Mr. Spock is just, you're not human. You don't understand.
And in fairness, you don't like in Redemption Part 2 either, with Data, right? Where the captain of the Sutherland is being negative Data because he's an android, right? Exactly the same situation, exactly the same... Whatever. Yes. Equally bad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Only done better in TNG.
Sure. Well, yes. And also, androids are easier to explain than Vulcans, who we've known socially for hundreds of years, versus an unknown. Anyway. So the reason I love this episode is because it was on all the time when I was young, for whatever reason. So I've seen it visually in my head. I love the just crazy ambition of this. Let's create a full set, exterior, interior, and a set around it. And it's a really well-realised exterior shuttle, right? It's really a great door, the great, you got a back room, the phases. Like, it feels so big budget for at the time. Nothing feels skimped on, right? Yeah, all the power pack logic, all the opening things, all the tech. It's such an alive piece that had you never had an episode like this, was a hero prop, you would never put the money to build something this good. But then it allows you to use it in other episodes, right? I like the interior personally. It's dumb, but it's fun. And I like the interpersonal. The fact that you get to focus on non-main crew and the two main sides. So you get some great McCoy, great Spock.
Good Scotty.
Good Scotty. Yeah, I just really love. I love this sort of auxiliary craft. I like the alien world. Again, they had to really commit to this to make it work. And I like the vibe. I like the feeling. I like the giant spears because it's alien. Like it's like what, they're like 9 foot. Furry woolly guys and they throw spit what, but it's like so like it's low budget but also it's primitive and it's great. And everyone's because you'd think they'd win. They've got high-end phasers that can disintegrate buildings, but because their moralities we can't just kill them all, they're brought down to a level, right?
Stun exists.
That's not this. But I really like that, and the ending's super action packed for them. Yeah, it's so unusual and so stylistic and so like different. That it ranks up higher just for creativity and fun for me.
Where would you put it then?
I don't remember the dialogue enough to know the annoying stuff to talk about, right? Because that's the small stuff.
Yes.
I would personal preference. I would have A'd it because it's so unique and one of a kind.
It is that because it's planet side on with the shuttle, and they're stranded.
Yes. I mean, I would certainly rather watch this in Cage because it's funner and the characters are better and Spock's really good in it. Like, he's interesting, he's different. Yeah, I would say a happy B would be my vote. But what would your vote be? And then we can ask the audience. If we are disagreeing so strongly.
My vote probably would have been C. Because for me, it's right there with I actually enjoy the Corbomite Maneuver.
I just think this is much more ambitious and more
character-based.
I mean, low B is fine to compromise with. It's still just a B. But I just think
mid B is fine. Mid B is fine.
So it's
just I understand the point you're making.
Yeah. And
for me, I think it's personal. Just I don't enjoy it for whatever reason.
But it's interesting because, and this is not a direct comparison, but the racism some people dislike in Balanced Terror is the same sort of, it wouldn't exist now as against Spock in this. But it's 60s and drama and they're still them, right?
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't really bother me, because people are people. You're allowed to be annoyed at somebody, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But that's why we have to re-review it, and then the dialogue might let it down over the concept, the visuals, the execution of the story, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because imagine pitching this in the writer's room, like, you want to do what? Oh, for God's sake. That's so much money, you know?
Yeah.
Just turn the transporter room. No, we can't do it. No, just No.
And the funny thing is, you can see a lot of the Western influences in this, like stagecoach that's surrounded 100%. By Native Americans, and because that was their storytelling at the time, right? So
yeah, that's a really, really good. Yeah, that's a really comparable example.
Right. Ray Ricks, 5 pounds, Devil in the Dark. Yes.
I don't remember that much around the main gimmick, but I remember liking it overall, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll skim while you talk.
Well, here basically miners are being mysteriously killed. So they go investigate, and there's this thing that's moving through the rock that's attacking people, and they've collected these little orbs that they think are really pretty. And it turns out it's the eggs of this thing, and it's just trying to protect its eggs. It's a misunderstood monster kind of story, and yeah, it's pretty suspenseful if you were watching it for the first time, I guess. But you got to admit, the Horde is a cool invention, a creature that can just burrow through rock, and not the first instance of a mind meld, I don't think, but mind melding with a creature so different to try to understand it was a nice concept. Also, fun fact, Shatner's dad died during the making of this episode, so some of the scenes near the end are after his father had died. So anyway, just look at Shatner's performance in this one. It's a little more serious in spots. But yeah, it's the misunderstood pitch, mob with the pitchforks going after the monster because it's killing their people, and then coming to the understanding that it's just protecting its eggs, and then they actually end up working together at the end, like this thing can tunnel for us, and so it actually improves their performance at the end, and everybody lives happily ever after. Plus, there's lots of little baby Hordas at that point, so I guess you're turning the Horda into slaves that do the tunneling for you. That's awful, actually.
I mean,
anyway.
But they do get days off. Like, they don't have to do it. It's just that's now their role in their symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, I know it's a good episode. It's very dark though. Like a lot of the lighting in the caves and stuff is literally dark. And it's supposed to be. It's kind of like a horror movie kind of vibe to it. The unknown monster in the dark. Literally, the devil in the dark. It's the name of the episode, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was scrolling, and this is one that was always used for VHS marketing If you remember that classic ends on the shot of the Enterprise going by and everything's projected on the hull.
Yeah.
This was always one where them firing phase and look at the Hortrons. So I remember the blue tunnels; those have always burned into my brain. But I'm skimming, and it's all looking very samey. They spend a lot of time in blue. I mean, the sets are fine until you look at the floor. It's just a stage floor, right? The walls are nice, and it is. Like I'm looking now. The way the Horton moves is a bit sad because you can tell there's a guy going blah, 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 blah. Like static. It's fine, but it's like that doesn't. Okay, doesn't really hold up in that regard, but that's not what I'm necessarily judging on. But MS is great. The acting is all great. This is one where the message is the strongest thing.
Yes.
Because it's not set design per se, it's not costume design per se, it's not acting per se. It's kind of all of it wrapped around the really strong message. So it's kind of hard to judge because it's not really a spectacle piece. And I don't remember enough of the small dialogue to be able to review that right now. So
there's the odd fun thing like where they wound it, and he orders McCoy to heal it. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Yeah.
It's like you're a doctor. That's your patient. It's injured. Fix it. And he like slathers on this like.
Yeah, do we pay you for? You don't pay me, Jim.
And he's so proud of himself afterwards. Like I think I could cure a rainy day or whatever. Yeah. So there are some fun moments in it, but yeah, overall it's a pretty dark, kind of morose episode. And the Union guys, the miners, are quite typical 1960s mob. You know, I don't know. They kind of give off literally the Italian mob vibe to them with the actors and the acting, but it's a good episode. It's a good message again. Like that's one of the things with these, the message.
Like
really makes it
it's great. Doesn't excite me or encourage me to go back and watch it. Right? Different sort of episode. So that's a personal preference thing as well. I would be happy to say B. I think it misses A. All the small reasons I think is why I think so. But what do you think?
For me, it'd probably be a C, if I'm honest.
Right. Okay. Hey. I mean, yeah. Like I said,
because the writing's not stellar. There's a lot of pacing-wise. There's a few moments that it's just there's not really much going on. It's just that building up that suspenseful atmosphere. I was thinking C for this one personally.
I'm not going to fight for it because I was trying to be like it's a famous one, but it's famous for the message, not necessarily the episode itself. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just love going back and rewatching this with the context knowing that Shatner's father died during this. So you can see the scenes where it's after the funeral because he's kind of got a more serious vibe going on.
He ain't dealing with the shit in that moment. He's just
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Next.
Next up, we got Matt Yarrington, $5. The Devil in the Dark, one of my personal faves. Truly new life.
And there we go. Where discussion gets a C. But if you disagree, you guys can move it in our definitive list via the super chat button, as you guys know.
Yes, you can absolutely move them. All right, Mark Lawrence, $5. Operation Annihilate. Shatner with a mustache and a touch of gray. Ah, yes, Sam Kirk. Fried egg attack.
Well, it's famous visuals I've seen on trailers and stuff. The silly, big. I don't know why.
Yeah, do you remember this one at all, or is this one of the ones that you haven't really watched?
This visual. Chunks of it, right? Like the memorable chunks I remember. This is one that I remember showing me as a kid, but the talking isn't the good stuff. It's the stuff around that.
Yeah, we get the introduction to, of course, Sam Kirk and his wife and Kirk's nephew and this colony that's being attacked. Come to find out, of course, it's a spacefaring creature that has this is in its migration path, essentially. And the one thing that can kill it is UV radiation. Spock this is one where it goes blind, testing it. I think it is. Hold on, I gotta take a quick look. Oh yeah, one of the colonists gets in a ship and heads towards the sun, and then he says he's free of it. He's free of the parasite, and then his ship burns up.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the one where Spock goes blind because they blast him with the radiation. Then we learn about this the Vulcans having two an inner eyelid, so he's just temporarily blind. But and yeah, they blast the surface of the planet and kill all these things. So we get introduction more to Kirk's family, or his extended family, and some really fun moments where Spock's like, I'm free of the creature, and I'm also quite blind. And you can kind of worry about Spock for a little bit, but there's not a whole lot to this one.
It looks fun.
Yeah, you get to see the different parts of sickbay in this one.
That's what I was thinking.
So there's some good stuff in here for sure. And the stakes are pretty high because these things, I guess, they're migrating. There's other planets on their migration path, I guess. I believe that's one of the things in this one. So yeah. And Spock gets, of course, infected early on. So he's living with this parasite, which causes immense pain. And of course, he's a Vulcan, so he can deal with it.
Yeah.
But they're worried about him the entire time. And then they test the thing on him. So it's good. It's I think it's well written. It's just not super fantastic.
Well, it looks like it's one that doesn't realize its potential, but I'm not sure what would shift that. And it's not even that the aliens look too silly. They're a fine bacterial, giant, overgrown, virusy thing, right? That's absolutely fine. And they'd look worse, I think, as CG. Not as much as the option, but like, I think they'd look worse. I like seeing the exteriors. Obviously, went to some university campus, I'm sure. Like, it's as straightforward as that. So it's fun to see them do something different. But then the interiors of those sets just look like 60s rooms. Like, they feel very dated because they have so much money, right? They feel very dated. Yeah. It looks unremarkable while having a base premise that's like, oh yeah, that one, of course that one. What happened to it? And then what happened to the episode? They cured it? Yes. How? Phasers. Yes, maybe. So I'll let you vote on this because the fact it doesn't seem as iconic as anything else would imply to me a C at best. But,
yeah, I was thinking a C for this one.
Okay. Interesting.
It doesn't have that secret, as you say, secret sauce of anything to make it super special, except for the introduction of Kirk's brother and his sister-in-law and his nephew, which never is talked about again. So.
And had he actually been in the episode, Mr. Sam Kirk, and had played two parts, that would have been, or like logs to see him act, because he's only as a almost a joke, right? Like a little, oh my guys, okay, goodbye. Yeah.
So yeah, not one of my faves. Oh, here we fucking go. All right, Ray Rick's $5 City on the Edge of Forever.
The most iconic Star Trek episode.
It's an S tier, but it would have been S if you'd taken Star Trek completely out of it, because it's a good story, and it was originally written to not be Star Trek, and they just made it Star Trek. So.
Yes, beautifully written, elegant, great acting, believable chemistry, good love story, sad, depressing, and at the time way more hard-hitting because the World War had just happened in everyone's living memory, and all the repercussions. So it works way better then than it does now. It's more quaint now. Guardian's iconic prop, which has been seen again in full action canon. Kind of a universe-changing device, given that anyone on the planet's fine, and you can ask it to go anywhere, and therefore just... It's a lot of power that you just never explore again.
Yep.
And amazing that Spock can kind of build a lot with a little. Classic Spock.
Yeah.
And really sad the homeless guy disintegrates himself with the phaser. It's just... And the phaser as well. Yeah.
Yeah, some great acting, great casting.
Good sets. I mean, good... All the set designs good. I mean, obviously it's just... Let's just build vintage from 25 years ago. It's not exactly hard. There's the backlog exists, and obviously it's an S, but just because the writing's so elegant, and you can tell Shatner's like so into this one, right? This is like right up his wheelhouse of it's not even Star Trek. I just get this. I understand this. I'm not finding a guy in plastic. I get it. I'm in.
Exactly.
Back to my roots in the theatre. Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots to like here, and I just hate that it's the epitome of TOS Star Trek because it's fine. It's a great story. I keep saying that, but I don't want to harp on it. If you know, you know.
Yes. Next.
Or as Shatner calls it, the city on the edge of the river. I think he's just trolling us at this point because he said it more than once by now. So
yes, probably.
Ozzy throws in $5. Spock steals the Enterprise to save his former captain. That's the Menagerie. Part 1. Which is honestly pretty fantastic. You get to see Spock manipulate the computer system to broadcast a fake message. He does steal the Enterprise. They get chased after in a shuttle with Commodore Mendez, and Spock is heading to Talos 4. He's going to be court-martialed and executed, the death penalty. Plus we meet Pike. It's interesting that it's a different actor, but they pulled that character into this, and this was basically Save Star Trek season 1 because they were out of money, and all the work they had done for the Cage, which was an unseen pilot, could be brought into this, and it's actually incorporated really well with the broadcast coming from Talos 4. Yeah, this is really, really a fun one, and it's the same kind of, it's got a court vibe to it, obviously, because Spock is standing trial while they're watching this, and those court ones in Star Trek are always good. So yeah,
I didn't quite realize I was scrolling. It's about 27 minutes in before it becomes a clip show.
Yeah,
so that's pretty good. That's But then as I'm scrolling, it becomes just a clip show. It's like back to back to back minutes of just raw footage. So at that point, you're throwing the episode away. I'm not gonna give it points for that because it just doesn't deserve them. It's just showing me clips. So 27 minutes of a good episode, cool. But we see Starbasey stuff. We see other officers. I remember I like the Admiral or the Commodore, where his rank is. Pike is sad. That's a hell of a thing to do in a way, and it's an interesting thing. I'm so scrolling. I don't remember much. Like structurally, what you said, I remembered every beat, but nothing in it. And obviously, we talked about the idea of the shuttle flying. Like Kirk knows he can't catch up with the ship if they go to warp. So either Kirk and the Admiral are dumbasses, or they've disabled warp, or Spock's not trying to get Talos 4. So the thing's a giant plot hole in itself.
No, he's counting on Spock to turn around to save them.
Yes, but warp 1, he's already.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it doesn't work structure as episode anyway. And if the shuttle's going to warp, that changes all of Trek, and doesn't have fuel. So it's a broken episode within a clip show, but they weren't thinking that because they didn't have this logic in place. Slightly tricky one to do. Would it have been stronger with Jeffrey Hunter?
Yeah, but was he dead at this point? No, not yet.
See, I don't think it would have, because you can't tell it's not him. Like, they do a really good job. The face is close enough, and the face is butchered enough. He doesn't do anything. I'm sorry, that actor does not act enough in the episode to justify, Jeffrey Hunter, right? It wouldn't have done, and I can imagine
I'm sure if they actually got Jeffrey Hunter back, that he would have been able to speak.
Well, exactly. It would have changed it. So it actually works better to have it be not him, because the lack of it something plays to it. It's like, imagine bringing in, someone in, I don't know, pretty decent, but not exciting. Where would you place it?
But a clever way to use the pilot material, and like you said, there's some really good stuff in the early parts of this episode of part 1. Part 2 relies a lot on the stock footage. Much less going on in part 2 that's original. But the fact that this was used in this manner to save Star Trek, and it's a clip show without being a clip show because nobody had seen this before, was a very interesting behind-the-scenes way of using all the money they dumped into, which I think was $350,000 at the time, to the Cage, to reuse that footage, which they didn't think would see the light of day. I think it's actually really well thought out and planned. Episode wise, I do really enjoy watching this, but yeah, it just becomes you're watching the cage.
I'm scrolling part 2 and it is just the cage. There's nothing else.
Yeah, the ending is all there is. Where it turns out Mendez wasn't actually there; he was just another illusion created by the Talosians.
Because a clip show by definition removes points because I would instantly skip these scenes. I'm not going to rewatch the cage for the sake of the Menagerie. Sorry, I've seen it enough times. I've actually seen it more than Menagerie because I quite like the cage. I mean, I'd say B at most because half of an episode is only half an episode.
Yeah, I would say B is fair for this one.
And that's just because it's so different, the first half, as in, I said, Starbase, Admirals, structure, procedures.
Yes.
It's so radically different. And that's fresh as hell while still being kind of bottle showy, just a brand new bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fair. Ozzy again with $5. Kirk fights young Q, who is like child. Well, that would be Squire of Gothos.
Make us think about that one.
It's not confirmed that he's a Q at all, but makes sense. Squire of Gothos. Yeah, basically a child, an omnipotent child who is viewing Earth through the lens of 400 years time displacement, essentially. It's fun. There's a lot of really good stuff in this. I hate the fact that there's the machine behind the mirror that enhances his power. That instantly takes it away. It's a cue, really, honestly. I hate that that was a thing in the 60s and Star Trek, early Star Trek, that there's always some kind of machine or something that enhances the abilities of... Anyway. Fantastic guest actor, of course. He plays a Klingon as well. And he's definitely over the top as Trelane. It's some really fun fight scenes and taunting on his part, and you get to see side characters, that you haven't seen before. There's this really handsome guy that goes down. There's a really pretty blonde lady, and just the use of the sets. Like a castle set, and both interior and exterior, and of course the final fight with Kirk with the swords is kind of janky in a few spots, but hey, that's fine. It is what it is. And then the revelation that it's actually a child, and the parents come in and basically scold him. If you can't play with your thing, if you can't play nicely with your pets, then you can't have any. Kind of makes you, as a human, be like, oh, well, yeah, there are things out here we don't understand, and we aren't top of the food chain, really. But it's a fun episode. It is absolutely a joy to watch every time, and I think it's great.
I mean, you've got to wonder, given this is all Gene Roddenberry's brain, how much you love this episode to make it again in TNG, right? With this worked once 20 years ago, let's do it again, because he's so the inspiration for, right? He can't have not had that in his brain, thinking this worked as a concept. He's so differently charismatic to John Delancey. John Delancey's got more sexy swagger, the ability to show.
Yeah, a measured, calm, cool, collected vibe.
I mean, I also think this guy's menacing. He can be menacing, but he's that chaoticness that Delancey is, but in a controlled way. Yeah, for this episode, I remember the obviously performance is excellent of Trelane. He's just having fun. Any role like this, he has fun. I remember liking the set design quite a lot of his little castle. It was a fun thing, and especially the frozen people and the green light and how like dramatic they could be dead. That I remember being a big. It's a very small part of the episode, I'm sure, but that I can't say I remember them being on the Enterprise, but I'm sure it's a very small part of it.
Well, they escape, and then I think they're getting away, and then the planet moves in front of them again.
But it's funny. He's literally even on trial by Trelane in a costume, right?
Yes.
That's so similar. And I love the fact that as I'm scrolling, they actually go down with, for the first time probably, life support units, which should be every single mission, as my dad harps on. Every mission should be life support, should be full technical, full gear. They shouldn't go out without full spacesuits, obviously, because it's ridiculous and they're better than this. But one time they do it. Right? Now the twist at the end is strong conceptually, but yeah, the machine and The machine, I think, is worse because what? He's a sci-fi being. Why is he a machine? And you always forget that. It's like Future and Perfect, right? It's like, no, of course, yeah, the future of it. No, it's all a ploy. Oh, right. So he's just a guy. But also it's confusing, right? It's meant to be kind of, again, higher power, special Ganian logic, blah, 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 right? Now, this is a lot of fun. I'm excited to rewatch this because it's all the subtleties I'm missing. But I remember thinking it's definitely... It might be missing the secretive sauce, but it's definitely very memorable and a good foil.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
For me, this one's probably an A.
Yeah, I was thinking sort of middle low after we watch it for the subtlety of the dialogue. Because it's a good idea, well executed, two different twists, some really like brutalistic stuff because he's menacing and he goes, yeah.
By the way, these are all great screen caps you're using for these to represent these episodes.
Appreciate it. Not all the iconic ones. So that kind of, thank you. But Jay Donaldson says, I can imagine the machine was a game he was playing to see if they'd find it, and if so, how they'd react. Yeah, love it.
Possibly, yeah.
I'd be sold on that. But we're at 45 votes 53 minutes ago. Let's end that, I think. Does TOS hold up? 93% say yes.
Hell yeah.
Excellent. All right, super. All right, what's next?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for the likes to get us to 50. That's amazing. But if you're just joining us and you haven't hit like yet, please do. Let's see how high we can get on those. And keep super chatting in. There's a lot more episodes this season.
Yeah.
Cover.
Yeah, there's a lot we're here to do. So keep on going, guys, because we want to review all of them. That's kind of our idea. I'm going to click like myself, Stuart. I'm going to be bold and... There you go. One more like. All right, next.
Ray Rex, 5 pounds. Space Seed. Season 1, episode 24.
Yes.
Good.
S.
Yeah, it's absolutely an S.
It's an S because the writing's very strong. He's a very compelling villain who's small and big. He's great that he ends up in TOS costume. He has 3 different costumes. It's fun. Botany Bay's a good design. Grounds it to modernistic day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the picture up there?
No.
Oh, for God's sake. That is so many ago. Obviously, a bit creepy with the lady, but he's meant to be a brutalist, so it makes sense. I just love the scene of him and Kirk and Spock's talking for Kirk to try and play into.
That's a great scene.
Before the turn, it's just fun politics, and hopefully this proves to be a don't give an unknown guy from the past access to your logs and your technological readouts, and change those procedures maybe.
And the best scene of all, of course, is when Chekhov catches Khan trying to manipulate some equipment, and Chekhov calls him out, and they end up going to play 3D chess together in the mess hall. And Chekhov almost wins, but Khan, of course, we'll never forget that game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not let Khan win, and if you try and not let Khan win, then you got to kill him. And he said that, in 30 years I will find you, you young prick, and I will destroy you with my eels. It's like, what?
I never forget a face.
Not one so handsome as you. It's like, what? Are you coming on to me, sir? No, I am just a Latina man playing a Mexican. It's like,
well, he is Mexican.
Wrong. No. Is it? Oh no, you're right. Sorry, Latina man playing an Indian. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yes,
that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Anyway, yes, fantastic episode. Obviously went on to inspire the Wrath of Khan, and Ricardo Montalban as a villain was fantastic. Very calm, very measured, but very brutalistic, very intense at times, but very gentlemanly.
Mm.
role. And yeah, the Botany Bay is great. Hearing the story of 1996. I remember when that launch happened. It was great. Glad to get them off the planet.
Unlimited joke for the Trekyards community. Of course, it benefits from the future canon, and that is slightly mirroring what this is to us. But that is the same thing with Guardians Forever and for Balance Terror, right? These things are being slightly enhanced by either fan reaction or by improvements later. You know. Yeah. But yeah, there's so many one-off villains, but Ricardo is so living it. There's a depth to it that he's committing in a way that is unusual, or it's just balance that he's getting. That's just like, yes, he is owning that. Yeah.
I also did like Marla MacGyver's The Historian. She had all these paintings of like historic figures in her orders, which was nice.
It's a great idea. She just had to be a stronger character, as in not a 60s woman.
Yes.
That said, had they been that stronger, then it would have played better, him controlling her mindset. But also, you don't need to be a strong woman in the future where everyone's equal. You can just be yourself, right? You don't have to be acting. You just be yourself. And therefore, someone comes in who's this actual, like, wow. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, you're going to overdo the scenario. I don't know. Yeah.
I also like the way that Khan took over the ship and put Kirk in the, the pressure chamber. And gotta love the fight scene with the stunt actors.
Yeah.
It's not really noticeable unless you watch the remastered.
Unless you look with your eyes, you mean?
Yeah, watch it with your eyes open.
But no, like I said, writing is where this one really, and world building, right?
And acting. Like Montalban just brings it.
Yeah,
he's really, really great in this. So yeah, absolutely an S tier episode.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, we've got one more actual episode, so make sure you guys put in some more as we're on our last half an hour. Quick fire some we'll go through. We'd love to do more. There's loads left to look at. So throw them at us. Your favourite's not even up yet.
Classic for real, $5 here in spirit anyway. Best episode ever. Mark of Gideon up there with classics like Code of Honor, Shades of Grey, and Genesis.
Season 2, as I googled.
Yes.
So can't apply it to this, but come back maybe this week.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Classic for real. Well, that's why they bring that in. Jay Donaldson, $5. List of two top heavies. This is two top heavies so far. Let's go with season 1, episode 4, The Enemy Within. Yes, the two Kirks. Good and evil Kirk. And Sulu and team being stranded on the planet because they forgot shuttles existed, apparently. Because they didn't have a shuttle yet. Yeah. Evil Kirk and good Kirk. Evil Kirk tries macking on Yeoman Rand, gets cut. And turns out that good Kirk can't make any decisions because he needs that side of himself, so he's very wishy-washy on what he should do, and he's asking for help. Spock.
What was that?
And the whole, I'm Captain Kirk. And getting drunk on... That's not the episode.
That's what it's...
That's the Naked Now.
Yeah, that's what 104 is on my thing. That's why I found 104. Continue.
The Enemy Within is episode 5.
5. Okay.
Yes.
Continue.
Also get the famous alien dog. They're testing the transporter, and the dog beams up and immediately dies. But it's just a dog with like a horn stuck to it. It's fine. So yeah, it's interesting story about how men have like two sides to them, like humankind have two sides to them, and they can't survive with just one. And you get to see a good and evil Kirk, which is cool because you kind of get the hint of what the mirror universe Kirk might be like before the mirror universe even existed. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in this. One of the most frustrating things is, of course, if your crew is stranded on the planet and you can't use the transporter, maybe just send a shuttle down. But
they won't be invented until Tuesday.
Yeah.
Double joke.
You also got shirtless Kirk in this, and then he tries to assault Yolan Rand, and that doesn't go over so well. And they're hunting the ship for him. There's some interesting stuff in this one, and yeah, it's good. It's cool to see Shatner play the two sides of Kirk, because I think he does an actual pretty good job. The whole "I am Captain Kirk" scream is iconic. Yeah, I think it's also the first introduction of the green Captain Kirk.
Do you realize it was that early? Because that is right at the start.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I always heard it was going to a custom uniform look special, but, I mean, thematically, if it's to represent the two versions, then you cannot get more clever than just two uniforms. Boom, done, easy, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
One thing that annoys me about this episode is in the final scenes on the bridge, they show the evil Kirk with the cuts on his face, but it's mirrored for some reason, so the scratches are on the wrong side. And it annoys me so much every time.
Right.
Don't know why they didn't fix that.
Yes, I'm scrolling this one. I'm really... It looks different. It's so early, right? That's why. But they made such deliberate lighting choices to light Evil Kirk with so much shadow, but to do that, you actually have to light the set with so much darkness. It's not a... It's a practical thing, because unlike most Trek sets, there is some physical lighting in the set. These sets are all lit by fake out-of-set lighting, so you have to affect everything. So it creates a lot of contrast that's super unusual, and it does feel gloomy and dark. So it's really... I'm intrigued by the choice here. And I mean, very good lighting, looks very interesting, but it's definitely not... Doesn't feel like TOS. It feels like almost like a fan film, and that they've come into the sets and going something dramatic, right? More like a play, where there's a point to it. But yeah, two uniforms, great choice. And this early on, to give Shatner this strong a bit of material, play two radically different characters who are the same character, brutal and baby, and yet have the catharsis at the end and have everything believable and has a silly lines of both. I mean, that's a hell of an acting challenge for a TV actor to come and do, having barely known who the guy is, right? And he's committing to both fully. I can see it, right? He's really going for it. But yeah, the Sulu thing is daft because it breaks as soon as you use the universe that we're in, right? It's like, well, that doesn't work. Well, I love you can see the ceiling to engineering. I forgot you could do that. They're actually wall panels, light panels. This one's hard to judge, isn't it? And you are muted because it's such an oddity, right? But seeing a lot of the ship as well. I'm seeing a lot of sets.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing a lot of work on this episode. I don't know.
Sets up the trope evil version of somebody. Because it happens so many times.
And you see the full view screen and the full reverse. They had to put the whole set back together to do that.
Yeah. Actually, Doomsday Machine's good for that because they pan like all the way around the bridge and have Kirk walk in front of the view screen.
But I forgot they did that here because it's such a small part of the episode. But
yeah,
man, this is tricky. Because I don't remember the subtlety enough, but I'm seeing a lot of good stuff here visually. What do you think?
For me, it's a C.
Okay. Really, Menagerie's part one's better than this, with all this acting, all this visual flair. Some people talking about some stuff in rooms, and this is like all this big, bold stuff. I'm not critiquing, I'm just... That's the comparison now we've got the contrast of, right?
Shatner's acting is great in this one.
Like, yeah, take acting. I mean, he's acting way better in this than he's in Menagerie Part 1, Part 1, because it's not about that, right? But it is too silly, right?
It's not silly.
But he's Captain Kirk.
Yes.
I like you make a fun choice. So now put that thought in your head. You can.
Okay, I'm gonna put it as a B because this is a good episode. I do enjoy it, except I got to give my brain a vacation when it's like, how are we gonna get Sulu off the planet when they're freezing to death?
It's pretty easy.
Yeah. So I wish there would have been a line of like, we can't even launch a shuttle because there's something in the upper atmosphere.
It's real easy. Real easy, yeah.
But they didn't have a shuttle asset at this point.
Nope.
So
can't blame them, except we can blame them.
Can't blame them, but we're going to.
Only a little bit. Okay, very interesting.
Okay. Classic for real wants to change his to the naked time.
Oh, well, yeah, that's good.
Right
Great.
there, so.
I'm glad I'm ready for that.
Yes, so a virus that basically induces like a drunken state. That's the true do some crazy shit. They find, of course, there's problems with this episode. They find the people that are all frozen.
Yeah. Let's just touch them. That's great. It's great.
And the suits that they have, that just it's a hood with no seal, and the guy like literally takes his
seal's overrated.
And scratches his nose.
Overrated. It's just
overrated. But we get to see Sulu with the sword. Where the hell?
I mean, it's really the Spock episode, from what I can recall. Him and Chapel, him as emotion, punching the metal of. I mean, that's gonna break it. I wish they kind of said, "Ow, my hand." You feel pain, Spock? That much, yes. I just broke,
Got Riley taking control of engineering and singing his goddamn song, pissing everybody off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Irish singing.
Yeah. Scotty needs to cut a panel out of the wall. It's the shape of Texas for some reason.
Yeah. These things are important. Yeah, of course.
We get the Spock and Chapel thing where it's like
real intense.
Spock. And now that we got Strange New Worlds, hey, this makes a lot more fucking sense. So good job.
Not deeper with that.
Yeah, Spock fighting back his emotions. Kirk loves his ship, so that overrides everything.
Not to briefly tangent off while it's on there, but I didn't realize that O'Reilly, the Irish guy, is in Conscience of a King.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he's in more than one episode.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Bit of continuity. Yeah, I had no idea. That's awesome.
But the engines get shut down. They have to do a cold restart, and as a result, it throws them back in time by like a couple days.
Oh yeah,
that's the ending. So it's a fun episode for the quirkiness of what we see them do while they're infected by this. But the ending always kind of let it down for me a little bit. Because it's cool. You can't do a cold restart. We can't do that. But then we do it and it works. And the only result is a little bit of a time.
And that's a very useful ability to go back 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the Omega 14 device. One up. Yeah. I mean, this is a memorable episode, right? It's everyone having fun, while most of their arcs aren't necessarily about having fun. It's like, ooh, drama. And he was going to have a katana, of course, didn't, because it's like, could we not give him just give him anything else? Anything else? Let me reskim. Oh, I remember liking this episode because it's just so memorably interesting.
Yeah.
And so early, right? Or at least release early. I mean, obviously it was filmed at a different time. I always liked the suits. I thought they were a cool design. I love the frozen environment. I thought it was really good. And actually, it looks very similar to how I guess they're referencing each other. How TNG did it. They almost look identical. Yeah. But the effect held up the way they did it. I guess that many years later. But yeah, when it's that a stupid reason for the reason, it does diminish it a bit. But dumb people be dumb. Everyone's having fun here, Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah. Except for Spock. He's having a great time.
I mean, the actors.
Oh, yeah.
Having fun. And boy, there's a lot of oil on that guy's chest. But I'm scrolling, and the chapel thing is definitely a highlight. And Spock, Going to do some Spockisms. But yeah, I'm scrolling. I'm not excited by it. I remember liking it, but it's definitely average or above average is what I'm vibing from this.
It's also weird because it's them playing off, like, not their character's standard, but it's only 4 episodes into this new series. It's like, how well do we know the characters at this point? But
as you say, drunk.
Yes,
drunk is the word, right? I mean, honestly, I'm liking it less that I go through it. I'm less impressed. My gut says a strong C, but I don't think it gets into the B's. What do you think?
There's some instances that I really like the engines being shut down and having the cold restart, that whole tension around that. But there's so much stupid shit, like I said, like the guy reaching up under his thing to scratch his nose, and the shot of the virus dripping sideways, they just turn the camera. C, I think, is perfectly fair. Yeah. It's fun to watch,
but doesn't come together fully.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to see in season 3 when they knew each other and their roles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the Chapel Spock thing is kind of touched on a few times, but not as intensely as this. Like, this is like full on. I love you, Mr. Spock. I've always loved you.
I've just met you. What are you on about? But not really. But
yeah.
All right, bye, Donnie. Have a good one. All right, next. Good suggestion. Last 15 minutes, guys. You did a great job at throwing some more quick fires in. If you've got any more, now's the time. There's definitely some more episodes in season 1, so we'll try to do those a bit quicker to get through them. So a few more in if you can. And I guess we'll do part 2, season 2 later this week, because this has been a fun debate.
Maybe Thursday. Maybe we'll do tomorrow, and we'll do season 3 on Thursday, and get all of TOS out of the way this week.
Yes or no? Do you want to see that? Good for comparisons, because we'll have it all in our head. A lot of TOS. All right, next trip. Well, as the fan said.
£5. My personally most disliked episode, Charlie X. Really? It's your most disliked episode?
Everyone's different.
Yeah, Charlie X. You got this little brat of a kid. This was also one of the earliest filmed ones, I think.
Episode 2 release, but every uniform was right, except him, of course, who's in his sort of Cajun uniform.
Which I kind of like that they... Because it's like, we used to wear these. You can have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this other ship drops Charlie off. He was stranded as a kid.
Stop smiling.
That's the other thing, yeah. Creepy vibes from Charlie, but of course he's never been around other people, so he kind of max on Elman Rand, and we get Uhura singing in the mess hall, which is, establishes that, and also apparently the relationship between Spock and Uhura for the JJ films, because the people that made the JJ films only watched the first couple episodes of TOS and decided, these guys obviously have a relationship because he's playing the lyre and she's singing. Anyway, reference to Thanksgiving and how if they're going to have synthetic meatloaf, I want it to look like turkeys, and then real turkeys come out of the thing. So it gives the synthetic meatloaf interesting thing to mention anyway. But yeah, Charlie basically inherited these powers from the creatures that raised him, and makes a few people on the ship disappear, makes one lady have no face, which is quite horrific. And he's just basically a teen with raging hormones that has superpowers.
He's a Q.2, right? He's a proto Q.
He's a Q.05. He's not quite a full Q, because he is human.
Although I didn't notice before, he's wearing a brown wraparound to mimic Kirk's wraparound from the start. He's wearing at the end.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never caught that before.
Then the aliens show up. I don't know if it's supposed to be in a ship, but it's like this green blob thing. And they're like, we're sorry, we we'll take him back. And he's like, no, I don't want to be alone. Please save me, help me. I don't want to go with them. There's no feeling. There's nothing. So you kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, the whole episode, you're like, what a bratty little shithead. But it makes sense that, he was raised alone, essentially. So what would you do with powers at that age? I don't know. It's an interesting episode.
Well, it does what it says in the tin.
Yes.
As I'm scrolling, I'm appreciating some of the visuals in this. Good use of the sets. There's the famous corridor, sort of this shape from the cage, which I see in this. The gym with the sweaty Kirk. You got
his friend gets disappeared.
Yeah. You got the other ship people. First episode in first scene with the cage uniform as well, which is great. Bit of continuity vibing there. Although very, very bright use of colours on the corridors and all the sets. It's a bit over the top here. They refine it as it goes down. You don't see just shove light on the on the walls. I mean, I love Uhura looking like pristine in her element. That's nice. It obviously diminishes. She varies, but not in it a ton. But I mean, it's exactly what it says in the tin. Creepy kid with powers acts creepy kid with powers. Like, it's exactly what it sounds like. And Kirk tries to be the dad, the uncle, the good guy. Yeah, but like, you can't. He's super maladjusted, right? And you can't say no to him. It was a losing battle, and they lose the battle, right?
Yeah, and that's what they never quite believed, and still don't. That Charlie thought of Kirk as a father figure, would listen to him.
Yeah.
No, I remember being that age, and there was quite a few times I kind of cursed my dad for giving me shit for something. So, I didn't quite buy that he would listen to Kirk. Although I love Spock's logic, like how long is he gonna maintain that?
Yeah.
So,
there's a lot of good things in here that I'm recalling.
Yeah, the faceless woman was something that always kind of stuck with me.
And a corridor bend I've never seen before. Like, what the hell? It's like a this turn. The hell? How's that going? Because we know the set, so anything different is different. This is before they're all fully.
Yeah. Where is that in the episode?
The face lady comes out of it. It is at 40:35. Like, that is not a turn I know, and I've been on the sets. Yeah, 40:31. No idea.
Yeah, it almost looks like the corridor outside of sickbay going down to the transporter room, and they put an extra board up, so it looks like the corridor.
Yeah, they've done something clever which is very effective. That's all they had to do there, and it entirely changes that corridor. That's great. I should do that more, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so for this one,
it's doing what it's trying to do, though, right?
Oh, absolutely, and it's that science fiction thing of what happens if.
Yeah. He's not trying to be a good guy. I mean, I feel like C's very.
Yeah.
I don't think I can go D. I'm not saying anything I don't like in terms of like what it's trying to do, etc.
It's not D worthy. For me, it's at least a C.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Sorry, but also we gave it a fair shout. We gave it a full go round.
All right. Sorry, Ray. Matt Yarrington, $5. Episode 23, A Taste of Armageddon. Yes. Your ship is a casualty of our war. You must report down here to the disintegration chambers. War done by computers. Everybody, there's actually no war. There's no destruction of buildings or property. But you have to report if you become a casualty of this war to basically get killed and disintegrated. They took, as Kirk says, they took the dirtiness out of war and made it something clean and sterile. So they destroy the computers and say, if you guys still want to be a war, because you've been to a war for hundreds of years, feel free. I love the guy on the ship too, the Commodore, the diplomat that's like, what's going on? Our people are casualties? Our ship's a casualty? What do we got to do? What is happening? Because, it doesn't make sense to just turn yourself in for annihilation. But I like the premise of hundreds of years of war between these two planets in the same solar system. And they just turned it into a game essentially, but still with real stakes. But they don't have to rebuild cities. They don't have to spend any money on the machine of war. Again, it's a very Star Trek theme about the stupidity of war, which works 100%.
And guys, last couple of minutes, Elm's putting the final episode. Now's your chance. Yeah. I think it's one of the cleverest ideas they had.
Yeah.
It's such a fascinating, like, of course that makes sense for an idea, but till you say it, it doesn't come to mind. Amazing idea for a story. And as I'm scrolling, I'm bemused how Klingon the alien race feels, given they're using Klingon disruptors, Klingon communicators, gold sashes.
Yeah.
Everything feels Klingon except not Klingon. Now they might have got to Klingon, but it's a lot of reuse and a lot of the style, which is fine. Just it's like these are almost Klingons. Yeah, I mean, premise great. I don't remember all of the individual bits, but I certainly remember it being hard hitting, clever, deep, and by the end you're like, did we do a good thing? Because they're probably going to start murdering people for real now, but they murder them anyway.
No, I think they will not go to war. That's the kind. It's left in the air. Like, you can if you want, but you're gonna have to start rebuilding your cities because you're gonna be bombing each other. Like, I love the way it ends.
It's destroying a society. Is a way of doing things, hoping they'll be good.
Yeah.
Hell of a risk.
Problem is, I love the beginning of this episode and the end. It's the middle that I don't remember a lot of what happens. It's a whole lot of
talking.
Yeah. It's nothing super exciting going on.
Well, I'm going to jump in and say B right away. I think the premise is too damn strong.
Yeah.
But I think the fact we don't remember the middle doesn't make it A.
Exactly. That's where I was going with that. Because
strong B.
It's very much a Star Trek theme, and it's well executed, but just the middle of the episode doesn't really hold me.
And the fact that the set design is just TOS but K7, meaning TOS colors with the K7 door aesthetic. Obviously, everything's a bit of a reuse. It all feels kind of bland in its own way. It hasn't got its own amount of money, right? Yeah.
Ozzy throws in $5. Shore leave is great. Yes, shore leave.
Yeah, I was torn, Bunny or Irish friend, Scottish friend, whoever's.
Oh, Finnegan.
Yes, I was torn, but I thought Bunny's more iconic.
Yeah, the Bunny's way more iconic. Okay, this is one of the fun episodes. It's got the lighthearted music. It's got the silliness going on. They basically just need some time off to go to this planet, and their wildest imaginings start coming to life, from tigers to Jack the Ripper to Big Bunny from Alice in Wonderland to a kamikaze pilot to a whole bunch of crazy shit. A knight who kills McCoy, but then McCoy gets repaired. And then, like,
someone
Playboy,
from Kirk's past?
Playboy Bunny Girls.
Who's the Kirk girl? The ex-girlfriend?
That's one of his first loves, or his first love.
Yeah.
Orellin, or no, that's I forget her name, but yes. So it's more of a lighthearted episode in tone. Finnegan gets fucking annoying real quick. And then, it's basically this robot planet, essentially, that reads people's minds, creates or constructs your wildest imaginings, and brings them to life for you. And you can't die, because if you die, you just get fixed.
Spock, stop smiling at the end. Jesus Christ. I know the girls are in very small buddy outfit things, but he's smiling so much.
Well, I mean, hey.
I know, but oh my God, stop it, Spock! You're too emotive. It's episode 15. You should know better.
Ruth is her name, apparently. That's right. Yeah.
So my memory of this is it's not as good as it could be.
Well, they use a lot of stock footage for like.
But I remember, I just remember not thinking it's that good. Scrolling, it's odd because it's also exteriors, which is cool, but they're so bland that they're not interesting exteriors. And as soon as I get to Finnegan, that's just Vasquez Rocks. And it's like so arena, and it just takes me out of it instant. Like, it's the exact same locations, but it's famous for one episode, not this. And he rips in a way that he rips other times, which also feels like lazy, that they didn't bother doing different style. So I'm disappointed by the last third already just from re-watching, which is a problem. But yeah, a lot of creativity, but I don't know. I remember it being a bit creepy, the McCoy and the lady plot. Like, that little side of, like, this is a bit inappropriate. Something about it was not quite as appropriate as it could be.
Well, that happens a few times in TOS.
Yeah.
Once with Scotty, once with Chekhov. Yeah.
So I'm DLC on this. I haven't watched it in a while, but I remember the vibes at the time. And again, the whole last bit of Vasquez just looks lazy to me. It's not, but yeah. Your thoughts for scoring? Also, they were a park a lot of the time, because it was just a park. You went to the park and just shot at a park.
Yeah. And despite Sulu winning out with no katana in Naked Time, there is a samurai in this one. I enjoy this one for its lightheartedness in most of the episode. I kind of want to say C. Low C.
Average out. C. That is the name of the game.
Yeah.
I like the wax dummy guy in the
night costume.
Yeah, that's a good effect.
Suit of armor.
Because they're not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
And classic for real, $5 for Devo 77X's Conscience of the King. P.S. I want to change my earlier one to the Naked Now. Which we did. Yes.
This is our last current one. If I was getting one last sneaky one, that is your last chance warning for one more. Because there are loads of best ones left. You want to get an or actually challenge. Can you find an F? Because last chance, right, guys? Can you put an F? Kosh the King, mass murderer, person.
Very Shakespearean, yes. Kodos the Executioner. Only certain amount of survivors, one of which was O'Reilly, one of which was Kirk, and this crew come aboard the ship, the traveling band of actors, and they're going back and forth whether this is him. I'll never forget that voice. Of course, it was him. And there's a few murders on board the ship. Of course, they assume it's him. Turns out it's a fucking crazy daughter who's like gone batshit insane to protect her father, and he's appalled by that because he didn't want her to be infected by what he had done. He wanted to move past it. So it's very Shakespearean. It's very over the top.
Look at that pose, right?
Yeah, over the top, dramatic, theatrical, and it's a very good vibe. Because you see like gloved hands, like killing people or poisoning them, and it's almost too obvious an answer that it's him. But I'm glad it wasn't. So it's not one I enjoy watching. I can't stand his daughter. I just want to punch her in the head. But she pulls it off really well. The crazy woman that's trying to protect her father. Some good dialogue in this one. Good acting. Yeah, it's a good episode, but it's not really it's one of those ones that doesn't have to be Star Trek to be a good story. But it's interesting that Kirk was one of the survivors of that incident. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Dad loves this one.
Yeah.
Because it is so... I remember seeing it. I remember at the time it was too mature for me. Which says how long ago I've watched it. But, like you say, it's not one you necessarily seek out to watch, right? But performance-wise, I remember it being excellent. Yeah. I always remember loving the idea that, yes, theatre inside theatre is so fun. And it's, and kind of like, Shakespeare hasn't died. It's still being played on the flagship. I also remember years ago, Dad actively calling me down to look the fact that Kirk was in a corridor with a window.
Yes. It's a narrow corridor.
What is this and where is it and what is happening? He's on date. What is like? But that's great, right? It's a one-off place set location. It's like, what is this? That was really, really fun. But I'm scrolling. I do not remember the daughter being as much as she is. I guess all of it. As I'm scrolling,
she's like a pretty big role.
I thought he was more, but I think that lends you, like, if she's always the goodie, then she can't be the baddie. You need to add.
Yeah,
that, right?
well, Kirk has that love influence with her, right? Like this, and this corridor is quite interesting actually because I'm just looking at it.
Yeah.
Could it be in the neck? No, not with the way they're angled.
And they put time into remastering it with Windows flying by.
I think it's one of the corridors at the rear of the secondary hull. Probably looking the windows that look down. Probably look into the shuttle bay.
Yeah, possibly. Or it could be around the lower dome.
Yeah. Although those door shapes are very Romulan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. It's a good episode. It's just a little too dramatic for my liking.
But it's going for that. That's literally the point of it. Life imitating art, right? So it's yeah, I don't know. This one, the dialogue is going to be the king. And you have to work out your conscience if you're going to accept the quality. Oh yeah. This needs to be a rewatch one. I just remember thinking it was just, yeah. And the fact that it's so grounded to Kirk as well. He was a survivor. This, and this. Like that's pretty powerful, right? What do you think?
For me, it's probably an A. There's nothing special in it that makes it. Maybe want to say it's an S.
No, I wouldn't have said yes. It's not like talked about like the other three are, right? The other three are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to go strong B, but if you think it goes A, like I said, I don't remember the subtlety enough. Because A is a very diverse field, right? But B is a very, very diverse field. So where does it?
Yeah, I think B is more appropriate actually. There's nothing really Star Trekky that's introduced in this one,
except good Kirk backstory and
which is never mentioned again.
As is most things.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many do we get? How many do we get to, Stuart? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 of 26.
29.
Pretty good. Pretty good indeed.
Yeah. So which ones didn't we cover? Didn't mention Man Trap.
Yep.
Where no man has gone before.
That would have been nice to talk about.
What are little girls made of? Miri. Dagger of the Mind. No. Tomorrow's Yesterday.
Oh, that'd have been a high one. Yeah.
Yeah. Court Martial. Return of the Archons.
That's a classic. Yeah.
Side of Paradise. The Alternative Factor. That's enough.
Is that the penis rock?
Alternative Factor is the one with the guy with the really thin mustache that keeps getting thinner and thinner as the episode goes. There's the good guy and the bad guy from alternate realities.
Oh, I like that one.
I know you do.
I know, I do. You're such a fan.
There's reasons I don't like it, but it's a good story. It's just they extend it way far beyond what it should have been, like 25 minutes.
Or a B plot. And the ending is
we got everything else. Wow.
Would you, now we're not going to talk about it because we're over time, but would Miri have got a D?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one I would put as one of my lowest of the season. I just don't love it particularly. It's got some fine elements, but I would put that as a personal preference D.
Yeah, Court Martial would have got an S.
Well, don't spoil everything, Stuart. They
Anyway, that was fun.
So, quick yes or no. Do you agree with most of ours or not? Real quick fire for one of you here. And join us, we suppose, then Wednesday and Thursday. So a triple bill.
Might as well get the whole TOS out of the way this week.
That sounds
and
good.
Next week we'll do a ship one and then start TNG maybe.
Yeah. No, I had a lot of fun. This has been a fun, and certainly with like Voyager and other ones where I know a bit better. It'll be interesting to kind of argue more. But yeah, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about this because this shows that TOS is strong, with some truly legendary and a lot of strong middles.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, is that not the guest star raiseth the quality of the piece? Because those are, guest star highlights with the writing to back it up for the top three. But
Squire of Gothos is also a great guest star.
And yeah. And the Gorn's a good guest star. He did as well.
Yeah. He's a grade A celebrity on Gorn.
Yeah, he sang autographs at $100 a pop. Gorn dollars though, they're worth only $1 Canadian. Yeah. And interesting. We did not get an F, so no one put in an F.
That's what I'm going in. I don't think there is any Fs.
Yeah.
From TOS.
Because Mud's Woman isn't even like near F to me. It's not hitting F.
It's not great.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see if any other seasons have Fs.
I mean, as Devereaux teases, Spock's brain is the obvious.
But even that's not as bad as everybody says it is.
We'll get there. We get there. It's like, is Alan Rain right as bad as everyone thinks? I mean, Threshold certainly isn't. First, this is great. Then it isn't.
Exactly. You know what might be an F? I mean, I think so.
Oh.
The one with Gem, or whatever the fuck her name is. What is the name of that episode? Hold on.
What?
Hold on. It's fucking awful.
With Jim.
I hate it.
Jan. Who?
No. Gem.
Jem Hadar.
Let me look through here. I think that's probably season 3. It's awful. That's what it is.
Okay. Well, Stuart, you know what? Save it. We will get there this week, so you can reiterate and tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the episode. It's okay. It's fine. All right. Well, join us tomorrow for season 2 of TOS. Some good ones. There's Doomsday Machine. There's Mirror. There's some other fantastic episodes in season 2. So.
Oh yes. Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you everyone for turning up. You've definitely made these lives special during the first of the week for a TOS-a-thon. Have yourself a lovely evening, afternoon, morning, good night, etc. Thanks away.
All those things. That's right. So until next time, he is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.